I
All
hope
right.
mine's all right.
Okay, we're recording.
Sweet.
Awesome. So I'm Wes from the Batsto Citizens Committee, and with me today is the Vice Chair of the Batsto Citizens Committee, Paul Purcell, who's joining us from his home in Batsto. How about that?
Wow.
So Robin, nice to meet you, and Kristen. We've been emailing, so it's nice to put a face with an email name.
Definitely.
Howdy, it's nice to meet y'all too.
Yeah. So
Robin, it's nice to see your face. I've never actually seen your face before.
Yeah, right?
It's so weird, right?
First
We wear
time
masks.
Yeah. Oh, this is the opportunities to get really sweet antiques. So they've always been really nicely displayed. And so I grew up in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is weather-wise completely different from here. Very awesome. I was trying to work and sell to what I was doing, but to like, and they have the most extensive collection of tropical butterflies in this hemisphere. So
wow.
I think that's really cool. I mean, rainforests don't count because they're not like a man-made enclosed space, right? And a glass artist had worked with the people in this conservatory to make like huge flower installments that would just be beautiful inside. And I had told the director of the conservatory that I blow glass as a hobby, and she set up a meeting with the glass blower. And then he came in and told me, hey, do you want a job working for me in my hot shop? So I worked with him from like June 2019 to about February 2020, when a few compounded unexpected life changes turned into me deciding I'm going to come out to Salem Community College to do scientific glass. Because like I was working in the chandelier shop, the guys Newt Grover at New Glass in Scottsdale. I worked with him for 8 months. I learned so much. It was a lot of fun, and I talked to the people I worked with every single day about what I'm doing at Salem. And he told me about like the different kinds of glass that he had tried. Like he was a neon sign worker for 20 years and stuff. And so eventually it was really like, I thought about it in this way. How can I have a future in glassblowing? Through any kind of economic trials, any kind of, for example, one of our teachers, Bob Russell, was like, he was working in scientific glassblowing, doing projects for the military. And that got me thinking, like, if there's any kind of conflict, instead of having to do anything in the military, I would just be a scientific glassblower. And or if there's, another pandemic, instead of getting fired, apparently the pandemic has really bolstered the scientific glassblowing industry in terms of like biomedical research and like the vaccine in of itself. They need testing parts and things like that. So it was, I had seen, this man, he built his own hot shop in his backyard, and it has never been shut off in terms of like just being shut down, closed. Like, of course, he needed to shut his furnace off to like do maintenance, but he kept it open for 20 years, and I was really impressed by that. But he was telling me that his hot shop got, even within 2008, like he didn't get clients for a year and a half, and just went through all of this cash that he had accumulated from working in glassblowing in Scottsdale for 20 years, which Scottsdale, Arizona is like a really fancy part of Phoenix. And there's like, I did some installations in some houses that were unbelievable. So there's always a demand. So for him to say, whenever there's an economic downturn, I can't sell glass and I have to kind of float on different projects that aren't really glass blowing, I was, immediately, okay, I'll get into the technical part. I think it's awesome. And so I focused more on like making money to come out here. So I was working at Sprouts as a baker for a few months until it was time to move out here. And that I didn't blow much glass. I just focused on making money. So I worked a lot from like 3 a.m. to like, I don't know, to 11 to 4 in the afternoon, depending on the day. So I was really focused on coming out here, and I drove out here and I moved and everything. I made a road trip and everything, and I got out here, and it turns out that there wasn't really much housing that was readily accessible for me to get to, which I wasn't used to, because in Phoenix, there's more apartments than people. And so it took me like 2 months to find a place. But that's almost irrelevant at this point. I've completely forgotten about how crazy it was when I first got here, because of how much focus I've been able to put into glass blowing at Salem. So like I'm here, I've been here since September, or really August 22nd, but school started in earlier mid-September. I can't even remember anymore, because I've just been so focused on this. So that's really like how I've gotten to this point in at Salem. Yeah, so I live here now in Old Newcastle. I love my apartment, and I love the old historical just theme. It's not really themes. It's historical. There's signs everywhere that says this was here during the Civil War and it was involved in blah blah blah, or this cemetery was first established in the 1600s. There's a bar that's been here since the 1690s. I love it here. It's wonderful.
The person that the person that you worked for in the shop, was he familiar with the program at Salem County, or how did you first learn of Salem County?
Oh man, how did I first learn about Salem? I think I at this point I do believe it was from working in that hot shop that, there were one glass blower had been blowing glass for 17 years, and he was like 34, so he's just been around talking to glass blowers his entire life. My other friend, I think it was my friend Madison, who was working there. She's been to Penland. She's working on going to Pilchuck and stuff. And I think she was the one who told me, hey, there's a school out west that does, all different types of glass blowing, and you can get a degree. Because I was still in school, and she knows that I'm really into getting a piece of paper that has told me, you did it. And I'm actually, I love the accomplishment that I get from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was from working in that shop. That totally, working in that shop derailed the current path I was on, because I was going to work in art museums on the other side. They consider the artist side the dark side, and I guess we consider their side the dark side. When I was in school, they were like, oh man, you gotta know what you're working with. Now, like I think having worked in art galleries and art museums, or like internships and stuff, I don't see what they were talking about, right? So I love this, where I'm at, having completely changed with that glass blowing apprenticeship that I have with him.
Do you have some, what are your aspirations upon finishing the program?
Right, so I have 2 dream directions to take from here. One would be to get a job outside of school in one of the local firms, probably stay in this apartment so I could. I started decorating the place. I really like it here. So staying here would be awesome. And, you know, eventually I would want to work. There's two teachers that work in the same shop, and I would want to go work with them. That would be so cool because they work on like really big custom work all the time. I can't remember exactly the name of their shop. Kristen, can you?
It's AGI USA.
Yeah, AGI USA.
Yeah.
I was gonna say MSI, but that's computer parts because I.
Yeah, they were formerly HS Martin.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be the ideal path from here
Right.
in the United States. But as I said, like I'm the first American in my family. All of my family is still in Belgium, and my dad's girlfriend is the press secretary for LaRousse in Belgium. So LaRousse is like the biggest reference book publisher and just general publisher of French material around the world. So like she knows a lot of people, and she's tried to get me glassblowing jobs in Belgium before. So ideally, she could help me get a job in Germany or in England or whatever doing scientific glassblowing, because I speak like French is my first language. So I could go if there are studios, or not studios, shops in France, or I mean, a lot of Germans speak English. I could learn German. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think that would be an even bigger dream and aspiration than working in the States, just because of I could come back to the United States after that. Or I can go one direction and then the other, but that's really where I want to go from here.
So you're fluent.
I really think I can do it. I'm sorry?
You're fluent in French.
Yeah, it's my first language.
Wow. Wow. You must really stand out in Salem County
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's I get that at the Circle K every morning before class. Or afternoon, I'll get some coffee at Circle K, and the lady behind the register or the cops, when they go get coffee, like, what are you doing around here, man? I'm going to Salem for school. Oh yeah, you're
like, oh,
a
yeah.
Salem kid.
Very
Yeah. I guess I do stand out like a sore thumb.
Stand out in a good way.
Yeah. Oh, I thank you.
Do you know anything about Batstow?
I did some research upon first of all getting money for going to school through the scholarship, and I did some more research upon hearing that you wanted to do an interview, and that's yeah. So I think it looks like a really cool place. I haven't done too much traveling within New Jersey so far because I don't know. I want to go with people, but it's also like a complicated thing, keeping so safe to keep the school open. Like I have probably 3 to 4 places that I go, including school and my apartment, and that's like Costco and like the gas station. So like I really try to limit where I'm going all the time, because we need to keep the school open. But yeah, it seems like it seems like an old Newcastle that is like more related to New Jersey's. I mean, it is in New Jersey, so it would be like, but more like part of that glass blowing history, because I saw on the website that there was like a hot shop for about 3 years. They're making window panes and things like that in the hot shop. I think it's really cool that a historic city, village, town, or like even at the time, I wonder how many places in all had hot shops making glass. I think that's really cool.
Well, actually, in the mid 19th century, there were a number of places in southern New Jersey that made glass products of some kind
Mm.
because of that stuff we drag in to the house on the bottom of our shoes called sand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So there's an abundance of terrific sand that um, caused many businesses to flourish for a while. So yeah, that's great. That's great. Um, do you have a particular interest in glass blowing? You mentioned the scientific field a few times. Is that something that interests you?
Yeah. So it's yet, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Um, my friend Colton, we call him Squish, or Squishy, he sent me some articles because Bob Russell, who's honestly, I love the treasure trove of information that Bob Russell is because he has that like I have found the direction that I want to follow eventually in scientific glassblowing. Um, so there's these two there's two chemists, I guess. I think they're both Nobel laureates. Most notably, John V. Goodenough, who invented RAM for computers, as well as gosh, who's the second one that's even cooler than the first thing he invented? And there's also Delbert Day, who works in like a university in Missouri. He developed essentially NASA's techniques for blowing glass in space.
Hmm.
And I've been just kind of peeking my nose into that because I'm my science background isn't as really strong as I'd like it to be because it never really came naturally to me. It was really hard in high school. I never found an interest in it because it wasn't, I don't know, I was always more interested in literature and history, but after in college, I got really into a lot of science fiction literature and scientific glassblowing has really turned into the method in which I can live a life that looks like the future and science fiction in of itself. To hear, a teacher talk about people who are trying to blow glass in space and who are inventing techniques to cure cancer using glass, I think that's wonderful. So like John B. Goodenough. Oh, the other thing he invented is the lithium ion battery that we use in all of our technology, right? So what he's working on now is a solid state glass battery that essentially would charge all of our devices in a matter of minutes and it would again completely change how we view power storage and these batteries
The Nikola Tesla of this century, right?
essentially, yeah, and it's gotten me really excited for the future of scientific glassblowing. And a third path, I guess, of an aspiration would be to continue to develop my scientific background, chemistry especially, or physics, depending on what is more needed in those to use scientific glassblowing in that really pushing the forefront of technology way to eventually work in like a university lab developing different kinds of apparatus or whatever to work with these projects because we hear about like legendary scientific glassblowers like Mike Souza and Kiva Ford, who, went to Salem in like a really tangible way, to hear them working with NASA and like I bought some tools from Kiva Ford in my box set, the radiology lab of Notre Dame. Like, it's wonderful. And I think it'd be really cool to end up there.
That's great. That's great. So you're going to stay, it's your intention to stay in New Jersey and not go back to Arizona?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. I honestly, Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, they're beautiful. And that's not to say Arizona's not beautiful. I grew up there, so it's kind of like really, I kind of have like a privileged notion of how awesome Arizona is. I saw the Grand Canyon when I was 3 and 5, like all the way growing up. And people I meet out here have never been or like had to go on a waiting list for a few years before they could hike down. I just casually hiked down with my family one year. Or like my Boy Scout troop, because I did Boy Scouts to Eagle Scout and everything, and we went hiking all the time. And so like I've seen northern Arizona, southern Arizona, east, and everything's different.
Mhm.
So it's awesome. But I feel that I could, really do more scientific work out here at this point, even though Arizona State University has a wonderful scientific glassblowing lab with an extremely, extremely talented scientific glassblowing like faculty. I would go back for that, but that's not something that I can shoot for yet. I'm in my second semester of schooling, and being able to see where to go from here has been just completely mind-blowing.
When will you finish the program at Salem?
As it stands, I should be finishing next spring.
Hmm. That's great.
Yeah.
I on a side note, my wife and I visit Arizona at least every other year. We have family that live they own a business in Carefree, and they live in Cave Creek. So
it's beautiful up there.
so I'm just the opposite. If I ever leave Jersey, that's where I'm headed to. I'm headed to Cave Creek for sure.
I would agree moving to Cave Creek. That's because it's also a really gorgeous neighborhood. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I loved it. It's different, for us guys like Paul and me and Kristen living in Jersey. Arizona, especially there in the foothills, is very, very, very different. But I think I could get used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm appreciating the actual bodies of water and the overgrowth of green things. I'm really enjoying that.
What about the snow?
I love it. We've always done winter sports in my family, so I feel right at home right now.
I'm glad you do, because I've had my fill of the snow for a while. So
And Arizona would be perfect for you.
Yeah. So, well, that's great. Paul, do you have anything you'd like to ask Robin?
Just maybe a couple things. Robin, you had mentioned that you were blowing glass while you were working at the museum, and you mentioned someone that you were blowing it. How did you get started blowing glass?
Oh yeah, so originally getting started blowing glass, I just had friends refer me to the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa because it was really close and they knew I really liked it. And I mean, it took me until my junior year of my first degree to find a place where I could learn to blow glass, because I knew I didn't want to do hot shop work for some reason. That was a decision I had made. So I wanted to do lamp working. I was really the size of it, as well as I don't know. I feel like I could try and mimic the things that were at home better with lamp working than in a hot shop, which was a completely ridiculous idea. But I don't know anything about glass blowing.
Okay,
but
that's
really,
good. But
what got me into like as making it a career instead of hobby was, getting that apprenticeship. So I was working it was that butterfly conservatory, and it was a couple minutes down the road from my father's house in Arizona. So I got a job at the conservatory, and I was just working as an attendant or as a horticulturist, and I was just working next to these beautiful sculptures all the time, and I knew that they were made of glass, and the director of horticulture told me that the artist comes in all the time to clean them or to see if anybody's bought them or just to look at them because he gets them for free because he made them art. So I just said, hey, can I meet this glass artist? Or do you know him? And she said, oh yeah, he's coming in later today if you want to say hi. Absolutely. And so we just talked for a couple minutes, and he invited me to come check out his hot shop, and I did the next day, and he offered me an apprenticeship from that point. And I was still in school, working, like having internships at galleries through the school and stuff. So there was like, I was waking up really early in the mornings to go work at this hot shop. And then I'd go to class, and then I'd go to an internship for school. And then I'd come back to class for like school or studio or something. So I was really busy, but I knew when I got that apprenticeship that that's what I wanted to do. And it was really happenstance. So I'm really happy about it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure, that does. Let me ask you something else though.
Yeah.
I understand. I've been to a hot shop and seen people blowing glass. Even got to make a glass at Batsto one time.
Nice.
Blowing it, and I've seen people doing torch work, but I don't know what lamp work is. What's lamp work?
Lamp working is it's torch work. It's just like a different name for it.
Yeah.
Because like a really old name for the torch was like a lamp. Because I guess originally they would use lamps to try and blow glass.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, they'd have lamps that were fueled with bellows. They used bellows, foot pumps, to add heat to the fire enough to work.
Yeah, I guess there was a time when we didn't have little propane tanks that we could buy at the store. Right?
Yeah.
And so now what do you do? Do you use the hot shop at Salem?
Yeah.
Or everything.
Yeah. So I'm actually doing a little bit of everything at this point. So I'm taking glassblowing 1 at Salem right now with Alexander Rosenberg. And it's awesome. Having a lot of fun in this class. We're making cups right now. So I'm in the hot shop 3 times a week because we get blow slots to make our homework, and I work with a friend in class, so we get to like share our time. So I get to work twice a week. It's really awesome. And I'm in cold working as well. I spent all morning today trying to figure out a sandblasting technique to get a portrait done, and it took me a lot of tries and a lot of frustration, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I'll be able to make more because I got it figured out. I'm going to write a standard operating procedure for how to do it because we have it on one material, but we don't have it for the other one. I don't want somebody else to suffer like I did for that process. And I'm also in scientific right now, so just basic apparatus fabrication. And our current project is bypass seals, which is really hard for where I'm at. Even though I've been blowing glass for 5 years before I got here, it was what we do was completely different and so much harder than anything I'd ever done before. So I'm really happy that I'm getting a challenge out of this and learning so much. I honestly don't have words to express how much I love it. And I'm also in computer aided design for glass blowing, and we're drawing right now. That is also really difficult, not because the drawing's hard, but because visualizing what he's asking us to do, once we figure it out, I feel like a genius. Like we were making shapes without math on Monday. It was bananas. We were using a square and a piece of wood and just a compass and two triangles, and we were making all the shapes we wanted to with no math. It was the craziest thing I've ever done, and I'm really happy about it. That's the breadth of what we're learning really makes me feel like I'm going to be super ready to work.
That's great. Anything else, Paul?
No, not right now.
Well, Robin, we'll have to either directly or through Kristen, we'll have to stay in touch as the as the pandemic subsides or lessens and the opportunities to visit Batstow improve. We'll have to get you there. In fact, we've been, like most people, we've been meeting virtually, via Zoom,
Right.
instead of face to face. Annually, we have a year-end meeting in November with election of officers and such. And typically at that meeting, we would like to invite you or previous recipients to the meeting so everyone can get a chance to meet who was awarded the scholarship. So we would love to have you join us in November if in fact we have a face-to-face meeting. So we'd like to stay in contact with you.
Yeah, I would love the opportunity if it's possible. Please,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also it would be great to come to Batstow just to visit the property and the site, understand some of the history.
Yes.
Paul lives. As the crow flies, how far do you live from the village, Paul? A half a mile?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, Paul is.
Yes.
Paul's right there at Batstow. He lives.
Yeah, the park's in my backyard. The village is slightly farther.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So there's a ton of history. In fact, the history related to this award is interesting.
Okay.
It has its origins with a person by the name of Joseph Fralinger. So this will be your next assignment come the summer to understand the importance of Joseph Fralinger.
You don't have to write it down. He was
All
kidding.
right, I was looking for a pen.
I'm kidding you. Joseph Fralinger, amongst other things, is famous for saltwater taffy. Are you familiar with that delicacy?
Yeah, that's why I thought the name sounded familiar, because
Yeah.
they put saltwater taffy on how it's made.
Okay, well, this award has its origins with Joseph Fralinger. Yeah.
Yeah, the father of the guy who started the saltwater taffy was blowing glass at Batstow.
Yep.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's actually buried right down the street from me.
Yep.
Joseph, the Fralinger's grandfather. Yeah.
Huh.
So that all led to eventually Stella Grody, who was a grandchild, right, Paul? A grandchild?
Yeah.
Leaving the Batstow Citizens over a period of time. She gifted money to the Batstow Citizens Committee, not the state of New Jersey, the Friends group.
Okay.
And there's I won't bore you with it, but there's a ton of history related to how all that occurred. So that's where the money came from Fralinger initially, or at least his desire to have money donated. So yeah, we'll teach you all that good stuff. All right.
Yeah, please. I'm actually I love history, so if I'll take I'll take an opportunity at a later date.
Yeah.
To learn that, because I mean it's helping me go to school. So I'm like pretty invested in something that has glassblowing history in of itself. I that's really cool. We had our teacher last semester, again, Bob, who's just knows everything, has been giving us handouts about the scientific glassblowing history of Southern Jersey and why we're able to be here. So I like that.
We have a former member of the Batstow Citizens Committee has become internationally famous for his work in glass, primarily with weighted objects. His name is David Graeber. Have you heard of him?
No, I haven't. I'm not
Google
familiar.
him. He's really become internationally known for the work he has done in that area, and some of his stuff sells for astonishing numbers. It's amazing.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah, astonishing numbers. So David Graeber, until recently, was a longtime member, but he's involved in a variety of organizations that have taken enough of his time that he really couldn't contribute to the Citizens Committee. Yeah, look him up. Pretty interesting guy. And he's right up. In fact, I'm speaking to you from Pennsauken, which is near Philadelphia. And David lives probably only about 3 miles from here in Haddon Heights. Yeah, so.
I see. I looked up his art. Goodness, these are gorgeous.
Yeah.
These are astounding paperweights.
Aren't they? They're really something. So.
Goodness.
Recently, I guess about a year ago, he donated a piece to, I don't know the organization, but an organization that's attempting to help people learn the trade and get interested in the field. He donated a piece that somebody eventually paid $20,000 for.
Yep, that sounds about
Pretty
right.
amazing. Pretty amazing. So yeah.
I like that, supporting the group.
Yeah. So, well, Robin, we appreciate very much you taking the time to sit with us and share some of your life with us. So we're going to take this, or at least parts of it, and combine it with some things about the school and some history of Batstow's relationship to glass, and try to roll it into one piece that we can post on the website. So we'll let you know when all that comes together. And we would hope, I'm sure that we'll find an opportunity sometime in the next several months to get you to Batstow and get you some sort of private tour of the property.
Please, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
That won't be a problem. We'll get that done. We'll get it done. And then hopefully things have improved enough by November that we might have a face-to-face meeting, and we would love to have you as our guest at that event as well.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yep. So, okay. Well, Kristen, thank you very much for facilitating all of this.
I learned so much about Robin. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Paul, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And
I'll send you this video via a WeTransfer link. So keep an eye out for that. And then if you'd like me to, should I connect all three of you via email? So
Sure.
You all have each other's contact information if there's any follow-up, or when you can have
Sure,
Robin out, you can invite him.
Thank you.
that would be terrific.
All right, great.
That'd be terrific. In fact, I want to come to the Circle K this week and look for you, buddy. I'm kidding. So right.
This was a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah,
You have to get Wes to buy you a cup of coffee down there.
That's
There we
right.
go.
So,
I would appreciate it. Thank
thank
you.
you all very much, and stay safe. Okay, stay
I
safe.
will. I gotta.
All right, good
All right,
job.
guys. See
Take
ya.
care.
Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Bye bye.